Welcome back, friends. Game 4 out of 5 about to begin. Na'Vi versus Rogue. Rogue looking for a better seed even here in the EU League, going into the Berlin Major in only, 2 weeks from now. That'll be the beginning of the group stage. And Na'Vi, whilst their run for Berlin is over and done with, they're looking for more points to kind of save or compensate or whatever you want to call it in preparation for stage 3. Welcome back to the desk. I'm Milos, it's Fresh, and Fabian. Rogue, we talked about how great they have been, about how Spoit has been great, how the whole team is built around them, how well they're doing. Do they got it in the bag today?
I mean, yes, for a short answer, if that's what you're looking for. I just think that they're a more complete team. This game, it doesn't really have anything to do for Rogue. Rogue is already locked into second seed. Nobody can climb above them. They can't climb to number 1 seed. So for them, it doesn't matter much. It's more about the 3 points maybe in the end of this for all the stages. But that's probably about it for them. They will most likely beat Na'Vi because they have just that good team play and they're a very solid team. There's not much to this game for them.
I think the one thing that does matter is that they lost against Pones last week. And they said it was because of arguments, disagreements, and they weren't themselves through the first 6 rounds. They'll want to iron that out in an official match today. They'll want to go out and just put out a statement game. Sure, we're not going to see new strats. Sure, we're probably not going to see a new map from them. We'll probably see an old map from them that they've played probably 3 or 4 times, right? But for them, I think the performance is potentially even more important than the result. They just want to go out there, iron away any issues they had last week, and then just go and win. Get their eyes set on Berlin.
Yeah, I just checked the overall standings. Sure, they can climb to 3rd spot from 6th if they win. So I guess that's something. But other than that, as you say, Jack, performance is all they care about.
Yeah, it's like how Wolves made a statement earlier on today with a victory. That's what Rogue's looking for. And Na'Vi on the other side with the extra points that they would be looking for in this game. Jack?
Na'Vi are at danger of being dragged into a relegation dogfight. So whilst this game isn't realistically important in terms of result for Na'Vi, for Rogue, it is important for Na'Vi. They've got to get as many points as they can. They've been a team that's been building on good blocks, but they've let it slip recently and they've put in some pretty utterly bad performances, especially last week on Cafe once again. So I'm hoping for improved things, but they might have an eye on stage 3 as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're only overall for the relegation fight, they're only 3 points ahead currently of Team Secret. So it's not that big of a gap, actually. They need all the points they can get, and they just need to be able to show off today. Skitty has totally changed around how the team plays. I think for the better. I hope to see that today, too.
All right, our map for the series. Which one will it be, and will it have an impact? Rogue, reminder, are qualified to the Major, so they could play the back pocket. We go to Clubhouse in this. Yeah. Na'Vi betting out Bank and taking us to the all-time classic. There's a thread going on the past couple days. What is kind of this classic map in Rainbow Six? Clubhouse is definitely the one. It's the Inferno, I guess, as people were kind of mentioning the map itself. A very old school from the old CS 1.5 days. Yeah, olden days. But Clubhouse, attack for Na'Vi.
Yeah, so obviously Na'Vi have banned away the last map, so Rogue are choosing the starting side and choose to start on defense. Rogue have played Club a few times. They played against Heroic, they played against Wolves, and they played it against Pones. 2 losses, 1 win. And the defenses have not looked particularly great, I'll be honest. But for, like we said, for Rogue, go to a map that you've played. They've shown it 3 times. They're not going to do anything different, and they'll back themselves to beat Na'Vi on the balance of the map.
They can be very smart. As you said, Jack, before, it's about the statement. Now they're going back to the same map that they lost against Pones on. Yep. But at the same time, you say, just going to repeat what you said. Basically, the way that I look at it is, they're smart picking this map for the 4th time because they might just go for it. If they feel like it's a bad map for them, they might perma-ban it at the Major. Yeah. And then they play it now. So people sit there and say, oh yeah, they played 4 times Clubhouse. They'll study how they play Clubhouse. And there's just nothing there to them because Clubhouse will be banned by Rogue.
Some poor analyst from NA sat having to watch Rogue play Clubhouse 4 times. Especially when they went max OT against Pones.
It's not like they rewatch it once. They rewatch it over and over and slow down the round. Rewatching maps can take much longer than the game is played.
In terms of bans, if I was a team against Rogue, there's 2 crutches for them. One is the Valkyrie on defense, particularly when they're doing their roaming. They get rushed against a lot when they do the roam on the Czech Arsenal side. They use the Valkyrie for so much information on Clubhouse. It's not being banned against them, would be an effective ban. and Fairmite against Leon. We see a lot of hard breaches banned on Clubhouse, but nobody's banned the Fairmite away from Leon. And Rogue crutch on it so much. We saw last week when they get tricked with that Fairmite trick, it really screws them over. So
every single time they attack Master Bedroom, they breach the single wall into construction.
Yeah.
Every time. And if you just remove the Thermites from that equation, well, he won't breach it.
I mean, if anything, Cryan can keep, winning.
No, nothing. Don't worry about it.
Winning clutches, as we saw.
Clutches is something you can't really rely on, though, because it's a day-on-today thing, you know?
State the obvious, Fabian.
I mean, have you played ranked? Average ranked player says that fragging ability is better than everything else.
I have not played ranked since literally a month after Maestro came out. That's how long it's been. So even back then, it was literally the same thing.
But it's just one of those things. They have the ability to do so. But to go deep in big tournaments, it's the last thing you rely on. It's the ace in the sleeve, you know? You have done everything else that failed. Then you take out the fragging potential.
Yeah, Jack?
Hi.
Rogue, easy game?
No, I don't think it'll be easy. Na'Vi looked good when they played this against Outsiders in terms of this map. Na'Vi, I always have as a team that does default things generally quite well. They've been getting better. They're not amazing at it, but they do it quite well. They've played Cafe a couple of times. They've been blown away, like completely blown away the last 2 times they've played Cafe in this league. But Clubhouse is a very default map. Na'Vi have tried new things on Cafe. It's not worked out. When they played default, Villa, Clubhouse, they've looked pretty good. I think they'll put up good enough opposition today. I don't think they'll be good enough, but good opposition.
Lobby's ready. Gentlemen,
Yay.
let's then get it in the bag. Fabian and Fresh, that's Na'Vi versus Rogue. And we got Ace and Fresh casting.
I'm not allowed to cast.
Maybe at the end.
You can come cast if you want.
They hate me.
Go.
No, I don't want to anymore.
How do you?
Thank you very much, Milosh and Fresh, for joining me. He's going to switch over to his little headset-aroo and we'll get this one underway. I mean, like you say, maybe not the biggest game on paper, given that there's not too much riding on the outcome of it, but plenty for these teams to want to do. Rogue, particularly, keep sharp before the major. Winning is a habit. Na'Vi, of course, plenty to work on. As a squad, they've had new players come in. They want to take every opportunity for competitive games to grow.
And that's the thing that you will talk about with these two teams is that, well, especially Na'Vi, is they've got this new player in terms of Skiddy, who's had limited experience in terms of Tier 3, no Tier 2 experience, will only get 9 games a stage. So you need to use every single round possible to get that experience and try your hardest. I would expect Na'Vi do put up some significant opposition today.
I would agree. I think, like you say, we're going to see Rogue probably playing quite default. They're not going to give too much away. No surprises that we're seeing ourselves on Clubhouse. It's a map that everybody has to know how to play. Everybody needs to be good at it. So you're not really giving too much away. We're going to have an interesting ban coming in. Finker is the first. Ace will be the second.
Yeah, and I said, obviously I just did the pre-show on the analyst desk. I said I would personally have banned Leon on the Thermite. However, a second good ban would be Deepek on the Ace, because both breachers are very effective on this map. Obviously, Leon has to target one side, Deepek has to target the other, right? So get rid of Deepek. I think it would be more effective to ban away Leon. But, Deepek as well. I imagine he's just going to switch on the Hibana, to be honest. But then the Valkyrie ban again. Na'Vi are a team that do a lot of counter bans. They do a lot of counter play. So these bans are not particularly surprising that they would target ban a specific breacher and then also take away the Valkyrie, which we know Rogue crutch on so much.
Well, let's get this underway then, shall we? It's going to be the last game of Stage 2 for both of these. Rogue have already confirmed themselves at the Major. They're going to be fighting for... in fact, I think they've already secured second spot as well. I don't think anybody can overtake them now that M&M only picked up 1 point. So it's, as you say, more about just playing for momentum, playing for results at this point, and playing to keep themselves in that winning mentality. We've got Spoit, interestingly, on the Oryx. He's had a fantastic first stage in the pro scene. I think that much we can all agree on. Seeing an operator like the Oryx is always going to be a fascinating one, because he's the sort of player that can make those explosive plays. We've seen that he will do risky manoeuvres to try and retake a vertical area, for example, and that operator is just perfect for it.
On this particular site, we're actually used to seeing Crine play the Oryx, and Spoit would be on Alibi. However, Crine's obviously over towards the Izami, which has been banned out against Rogue a lot. So that's just a testament. If you don't ban the Izami away from Rogue, they're going to use it. If you don't ban the Valkyrie away from Rogue, they're going to use it. Both are kind of crutch operators. And we're going to see Blair straight away on this blitz. Now, Rogue are going to be ready for the rush on the first round because they go Church, and people rush from Adam on the first round every single time. Pones did it, Na'Vi are going to do it, and I'm sure as hell, and you can see by the Goyo canister, the Rogue are ready for it.
I tell you what, it hasn't slowed Blur down though, as it is going to take his 40 damage and he's going to go on his way. He's already charging down towards Blue, looking to get himself inside, but the second Goyo canister, that will put the brakes on this rush, and as you say, Rogue completely prepped for that. Nade comes in, it's not going to do sufficient damage to Leon to get him to back off, so he's just waiting for this push to continue in from the blue door, but I get a feeling that Na'Vi have just taken their foot off the gas. They're going to leave it on the brakes. Leon manages to get one, Leon manages to get two. Skiddy able to get in there and get the trade, but still it's advantage Rogue 4v3. Skiddy's trying to go deep here, looking for the man just around the back end of Arsenal, manages to find him. It's actually Thunder who gets the kill onto Deepak, and all of a sudden Na'Vi, with that, I will call it a semi-rush, they didn't quite get in there as quick as they might like, but they find themselves now in a 3v2.
Yeah, Kanto and Spoit, they've got it all to do, but you would back Spoit, the highest rated player in EUL, to do it. Kanto finds a lovely shot onto Blue, prone underneath the chairs. I don't know how you're going to know he's in there. Obviously, they know Thunder's in sight. Yak's location is not fully aware, although he has taken a lot of damage in this 2v2. Does have an idea where Kanto is and will make his push down Blue.
Yak needs to find his man without a challenge here, really, seeing that he's on such low health. There's just a little bit of a rejig of positions inside of the site there. Kanto doesn't see him move past because he is behind the generator at the minute. He sees the head though, and what a flick from Kanto. Absolute beauty of a 2k from him. He's looking to close this down solo as the peak is going to come through from Thunder. He is also not on full health. Nade goes out, maybe a little bit of information there. Is going to chase his man away, but he still has to keep battling here. Doesn't know exactly where Kanto is, and it's a 3k for Kanto, and what a start for Rogue. Beautiful play from Kanto, barely moved his feet inside a church.
Kanto's been super polarizing on this map in terms of, I think it was the game against Wolves that he went 0-10. And then other games, he's had really good games on this map. So for him to get out of the blocks, get that 3k, retake the round and win the round for his team will be absolutely massive for him personally. In terms of the round, I think deja vu. I think that's 4 times that Rogue have started Church Arsenal in the 4 times they've played it on the defense, and 4 times they've been rushed / semi-rushed, as you called it. And I think at that point they were expecting it. The Goyo use particularly to do the damage onto the Blitz was like super big brain, because the Blitz ended up just in so much fire that when it came to a challenge, he was 1 HP.
Just having a look at those kills for Kanto. Beautiful one from under the table, and then the flick onto the knock as he just gets the little sliver of a pixel on that gap, and he's able to close both of them down. Beautiful play from Kanto. Good round from Rogue. As you said, they were stacked up ready. Normally you wouldn't see the Goyo canisters on those 2 particular barricades like that, but they knew exactly what was likely coming, and after the first, it should have been the clue for Blur that maybe it wasn't going to go all his way. So we're going to have CCTV and Cash. No, sorry, Gym and Bedroom it is as round number 2. We're going to have a setup in CCTV and Cash as Rogue are extending out to the eastern side. It's going to be Leon and Kanto particularly looking to hold on. I think Spoit is there as well, but I would imagine only 2 out of the 3 will remain.
Yeah, so Rogue sometimes, as we see, Naif does manage to pick up Crine onto the spawn peak. Rogue sometimes have chose to try and hold on to Garage, and then sometimes have chose to try and hold on to Cash and CCTV. Sometimes they've had difficulty figuring out the pacing, particularly of this site, and when to fall back and when to stay and fight, especially over towards that east side. So that's what I'm looking for them today. Leon's got a great bandit trick out over onto the CCTV wall though. Naif's obviously with Terror Drone coming in a little bit too late to stop Leon doing that, and that crucially is going to take up one of those Thermite charges with no other hard breach other than Yak on the Fuse hard breach charge. So the Jacuzzi side breach is going to be pretty limited for Na'Vi to go through.
That's it. It's not going to be easy for them to work in through there, and even less so for them to try and work the angles that they might need to deal with anybody that's playing inside of Bathroom. Kanto is going to escape himself from Cash. I think they're happy to concede at this point that that area is off limits to them now that CCTV has been breached and Na'Vi have found themselves inside. But that's a minute 10 wasted. Not a bad start. They've got the Goyo on side. Frostmat's on the floor as well. So still, Na'Vi need to be very careful how they tread here.
Yeah, Kanto needs to be careful in his positioning as well. One shoot through the window and he is gone. However, the shots are a little bit low. However, once again, Rogue, the pacing, the leaving of the construction side and moving back into logistics and site is pretty fast. 1 minute 30 is more than enough time for Na'Vi to work with. They'll go and they'll open up the logistics hatch. Logistics is obviously the next target for Na'Vi. They want to take control, but they do have Goyo canisters, they do have Azami keeper barriers, and a Bandit M870 in hand to work through once they get there.
I mean, it's not an everyday setup. I think that's probably fair to say. As we said, Rogue, not necessarily wanting to give too much away. They can play this in a reasonably default way, try a thing or two, and just see how it works out for them against solid opposition like Na'Vi. Nath, he's going to be getting in there, taking down a keeper barricade that's going to allow a little bit of pressure with the deployable shield gone as well to be able to be maintained from the window. The keeper barrier actually on top of the bomb chassis has stayed in position, so Kanto can keep holding down from his location that he's in. He's got a nice little cutout at the bottom there that's going to allow him to see through onto the door, but he needs to be careful. Nade comes in. It's not going to catch Kanto, but it will take down the barricade. Yak, he manages to double down on the advantage given by Nathan. Get another kill. 5 versus 3 now. 24 seconds left to go. Rogue need to hold on. Kanto looking to challenge onto the window. He knows that somebody has just moved across to Jim, and with 17 seconds left to go, it's going to be Leon who gets taken down next, this time by Blur. Yak is down, and Kanto starts fighting, but not enough to secure the round this time, as Na'Vi, they managed to get a flawless round.
I've been fortunate enough, or painful enough, to have reviewed Rogue on this particular site a million times, it feels like now. Like I say, this is the 4th time in, I think, 5 rounds that they've played this particular map. And one thing that I do think is that they do struggle with the pacing of that site. And then the next 2 sites after they lose Jim are not great choices either, and this is why their defenses struggle, is because they can't find a way to make sure that Jim is completely locked down inside of officials. I think maybe out of the 7 times they've played it, I think they've only won it once or twice, and those were Krine's clutches up against Heroic. So they will move out and go towards Bar Stage, choosing to not go to CCTV. Now, when they went to Bar Stage, they do this strip club extension out towards the west and up on the top floor, and when you do that, because you extend horizontally and vertically, you stretch yourselves very thin as defenders, often having to take liberties with utility, with player positioning, with reinforcements. It all becomes very thin, so if Na'Vi concentrate their intentions onto one side, whether that be strip or vertical, then Rogue could come undone.
I mean, I look at this and I think, like you say, they're trying to hold on to a similar space that they were trying to hold on to last round, but this time Rogue have got even less in terms of manpower, even less in terms of utility to do that. That sort of sounds alarm signals to me. Would you not maybe drop the strip side of the hold and just focus on the vertical?
When they played this against Pones, basically Pones had a drone in strip and just walked somebody in there within about 30 seconds gone. And they caught Deepek and Leon off when that happened. Obviously, Na'Vi aren't looking like they're going to do this, but that was how it undid Rogue last time that they played this. Na'Vi have got an Amaru and a Monty on hand and a Dokkaebi, so I'm wondering if they're going to do something quick and direct maybe, as long as they hold the hatch control off from construction.
30 seconds in and we see the Hardbreaker gadget just being applied to the construction wall. So it signals an attempt from Na'Vi to try and get that top floor held down, but Deepek, he's ready fresh, and he takes the Amaru down as soon as he comes in through the window. But Nath, he's going for the plant here, and I think he's going to get away with it. They've managed to take Rogue's eye off the ball here, and Na'Vi have escaped. They've got the diffuser down. What an absolute steal!
And that's the complete distraction technique and using the Monty as well. Obviously, the hatch control maintained in control of Rogue, but their attention was completely elsewhere. Dokkaebi's, Amaru's, fuse charges going off. They do have the 5v3, but they've only got 20 seconds to retake it and defuse.
And this is it now. Na'Vi have got themselves established in the post plant as well. They can just hold these angles. Skiddy, he's fighting with the man down in bathroom. Ooh, that's a bad move though. Monty tries to get up above, gets cut down 2v2 though. However, as Skiddy and Thunder manage to find some kills, Kanto shut down, and that is going to be round to Na'Vi. 2-1 now.
I really liked that from Na'Vi. I think a good appreciation of how Rogue played the map, and I do say this often about them, is they're really good with their counter-analytical stuff as a team. They definitely watch the teams they're playing on the maps they're going to go to. And I will say that was absolutely huge. Great idea. The Dokkaebi call comes in. The fuse is making noise upstairs in terms of Yak. The Amaru comes in up the main stairs. How can communications be clear when that's going on? Rogue, no idea that the plant was going down.
Perfectly worked. Love to see it make a lot of noise over there whilst you do what you actually want to do over here. And it worked perfectly for Na'Vi. Rogue are going to be going back down to Church and Arsenal then for round number 4. It is the only site that they've been successful on so far tonight, and they're going to be looking for a little bit more of the same. However, I don't think Na'Vi are going to be playing it the same. They don't have the blitz on side this time, and I think it's going to be a much more sort of orthodox push from them. They're going to look to get top floor control, work their way down. By the halfway mark, they want to be opening up those hatches. They've only got the thermite, so that's not going to leave them too many options, although the fuse is likely to bring the hard breach gadget along as well, so that will extend their capability to deal with the hatches a little bit.
And to be honest, depending on what you're going for, you could even drop the thermite, as long as you've got the 2 hard breach charges, because obviously you want to clear out, if you're going to bring a conventional line, you want to clear out the top floor, the middle floor, and then work your way down and have verticality. Now, you're probably going to want to breach the kitchen hatch at all costs. Maybe also the bar hatch. So I think you need at least 2 breaching. Obviously, you're going to start thinking about Dirt Tunnel as well, which is probably what Thunder's first protocol will be as the thermite whenever he gets over there. But for Na'Vi, the round realistically isn't going to be won or lost on the breaching. It's going to be whether they clear out that front free of Rogue. And that's why we see teams rush against them so much. Because that front free of Rogue, by the way, is usually Spoit, Canto, and Crying. Now, I wouldn't want to try and go and clear that. So I understand why teams rush and go directly for Leon and Deepak in sight.
It's going to be up to Skiddy to try and push that front 3 lineup as he looks to get himself in through the breach on Jacuzzi wall. Needs to just keep an eye on those hard breach gadgets. That's 1 used, it leaves 1 remaining, but that's going to be 1 on the east wall there. So they're now down to only possibly 2 out of 3 hatches. So that's going to be Moto, Blue and Kitchen. 1 of those will remain closed. So there's going to be at least 1 avenue that Na'Vi aren't able to push from here. Kanto, he's going to take a challenge, but we've seen that more and more teams very smartly using those drones, sending them in at the same time as the push is coming, and as soon as the defender challenges the drone, you move in and you get yourself a free kill. That's what's going to happen as Kanto gets taken down.
A little bit we're not used to seeing that from Rogue, is what I'm trying to say, in terms of how split they were. Spoit had left main stairs, and Kanto had locked himself in a position where he could not leave and needed somebody to fight with him. Spoit was not fighting with him. Crime was therefore very detached and will eventually get away. So not amazing from Rogue, but not bad by any stretch. They've managed to get away, waste 2 minutes of time, and now Na'Vi can start thinking about going about their attacks. But they've only got a minute to do so, as Skiddy takes a bit of team damage and nearly flicks. I think it was Thunder outside that window. Not ideal, as you say, but 1 minute to basically, as Blair gets a lovely little wallbang onto Leon there. That's pretty unfortunate. 1 minute to go about your attack. Now 5v3 because Blair's got that really good wallbang.
It's a bit of information there for Blur to benefit from, I think. We've seen the drones going in and Leon getting spotted out and shut down. 5 versus 3. Na'Vi a good advantage here, not just in terms of man count, but the scoreboard. This is looking good for another potential round win for them, which will give them a little bit of breathing space on the attack of Clubhouse, which is never a bad thing. Crying, he's going to try to hold on to that kitchen hatch, but as I love on Clubhouse, he's starting to be pressured from multiple angles now. Coming down the blue corridor, looking to pressure the kitchen hatch. It is the squeeze that is going to come onto him. 19 seconds left to go though. Na'Vi need to make sure they squeeze in a little harder here. Blur is going to push through the fire. He doesn't have much of a choice. He's going to get aggressive. That's Crying taken down, and there's an opportunity now to get this diffuser down, but it's on the ground and needs to be collected. 4 seconds left to go. Skiddy able to pick it up. He's going to start planting, and that is the timer ticking down. Spike shut down. 1v3. It's all up to Deepak. He gets 1, he gets 2. It's a 1v1 now, effectively. That was a team kill in the midst, and it's all up to Nath in the 1v1. Deepak wants to confirm that kill because he doesn't want the information being given out on his location, and Nath, he manages to escape into Dirt Tunnel. Deepak is going to confirm the kill, put out the impact nade, but with such low health, it's unlikely that he's going to get this. No, he comes off. He should have stuck it. He might just have been able to make it there, but he's given Nath the opportunity now to get onto the kitchen hatch, and that is all that he needed. Impact nade comes out. 8 seconds left to go. If Deepak wants to have time to disable this diffuser, he's going to have to stick it. It doesn't matter that Nath has lost that because Deepak does not have time to make another challenge here. And Nath, he goes forward, gets that kill, wins the round, and that is going to be 3-1 now for Na'Vi.
How many hearts? How many hearts were beaten so fast?
Just keep it, Deepak. Keep
when
going.
He should have just stuck onto that. That was so unfortunate. I think Deepak did really well to get it back to the 1v1 though. Na'Vi with a really good round there. Really, and I say this all the time from them, really default stuff. Everything they should have done when they practiced their full clears, They did. They got themselves into a 5v3. They got themselves effectively into whatever that was, a 3v1 in the end there. Obviously nearly let it go. But really good, really good in terms of identifying the solo player in Kanto, dealing with him, Blair understanding where a default position for a player on the impact trip would be, dealing with him, and then just going about your business. I think really nice, really default. And Rogue, they've got a real choice now. They've got to go to a new site. They can't win Church, they can't win Gym, they can't win Bar, so they're going to try CCTV. They're going to go to the offsite that is probably the worst out of a lot of them. 3-1 down.
It is at the minute, certainly. You know, we've seen a lot of attacker wins on this site, and as you say, Rogue struggling to find a win anywhere, really. You know, as we've said, you know, probably trying not to reveal too much at the same time, but as I've said, winning is a mentality, it is a habit, and I know that I would rather go into a major event with a win under my belt than with a loss. So Rogue, they're going to be fighting hard to try and get themselves at least a couple of rounds here, level it up at the half and go in 3-3 before that side switch. But the big question, of course, for Na'Vi is going to be if they can maintain this pace when they find themselves on the defence. But on the attack right now, they've looked pretty good. You know, they're a side that you comment quite often, Fresh, do the basics well. You know, they play that checklist siege well, they don't miss steps, they go through and they get done what needs to be done. And they're showing that today.
And I like them when they do that. When they go away from that, that's where they... Spike trying to take a drone.
I don't think that was any utility, Spike.
I think it was a drone, no?
Was it? Was it a drone?
I think it was a drone.
I thought it was like a bird or something.
No. Have you ever seen it when, like, streamers do it? Big streamers like Spike. Throw a drone in the air and then try and one-tap it. That's what Spike was doing, but with the enemy's drone. And he will take Skiddy's head off for good measure. It's not something you see every day, is a defender challenging a drone in the air, but, you know, it does happen. Spike gets the first kill. And I think very wisely for Rogue, they do manage to just retreat back to site, knowing that there is a kind of west side approach coming out, a construction take at some point potentially might come out of Na'Vi, and therefore they're not going to lock themselves in any positions.
Good start for Rogue, better than they've had previously. Taking Skiddy down as well, who is 6-3, certainly isn't going to hurt. The fuse charge is going to be used here. For any of you at home thinking, that's a nice idea. It's just a way of clearing utility, but also preventing anything like a bandit trick or anything. You get that on there, and it just allows players to be forced away. The timing wasn't ideal for Na'Vi then. It was a little bit of pause afterwards until that came off. I think the fuse charge was shot off by somebody inside a site because we didn't lose the mute jammer, so that would be my guess, that it didn't deliver all 5 of those pucks.
Yeah, the fuse charge was shot, and I think the thermite charge got EMP'd by the bulletproof camera as well. Obviously, a use that you don't always see inside of pro players. Leon, he peeks the breach, he's staying aggressive. You can see with his Azami barriers, does manage to find a kill. Gets into a 5v3, but gives it straight back to Yak, who's holding the angle of the LMG through that very small hard breach charge breach.
Going to have a nade raining into sight here from Blur. Not going to catch anybody as there's nobody playing inside of Cash right now. There's quite a strong presence underneath here, and Thunder might just catch them out as he comes forward. Cryin and Kanto were playing in this position inside a lounge looking for that vertical denial. We've got the pre-placed Nitro that's going to be taken out, and I think they're now aware, Rogue, but Thunder, he's not going to overcommit to that. 25 seconds left to go, and it's Na'Vi that need to think about getting inside a site. There was an opportunity there, but Yak's missed his shots. He's not going to be able to take down the Jaeger of Cryin, who lives to fight another day. Yak able to go in and start getting that diffuser down. Cryin gets one, Spike gets another, and that is going to be, just as the diffuser is confirmed, the final kill coming in, and it's going to be a round to Rogue.
I like that from Rogue. With a team that plays default, and you know that they play default very well. Try and take the defaults away. Get aggressive on the melee. You know, basically fight them at any entrance to the map. That's what Rogue did. Got themselves a 5v4. Got themselves a 5v3 with, you know, Leon swinging the breach. That's not something you see out of most defenders on a CCTV, especially inside a pro play. You might see it in ranked, but not inside a pro play. Leon does that, gets a 5v3. And I think that's the one thing that Rogue can kind of hang on to is, sure, if they go and play default, at the minute, they'll be getting beat by Na'Vi. But they've got that win condition that ultimately, that's what Rogue rely on, is swinging, and then swinging things together, and being aggressive and relying on their gun skill. When they rely on that and that's their win condition, you saw exactly what happened in that round.
Going to be the final defensive round for Rogue. This time they're going to head down to Church and Arsenal, and we've seen them here twice already. 1 win, 1 loss, so 50-50 output from them. Na'Vi going to be looking to secure a win. It was a rush that got them their win last time around. They were able to get the diffuser down, and to be honest, there's an argument to be made that they probably should have won the last time that they attacked here. It was all down to that final flurry from Deepak where he was able to get 2 of them. It was a little bit fortuitous. They both kind of lined up for him, and you know, in a different world, in a different round, he probably doesn't get both of those kills without the stars aligning. So Na'Vi can probably try more of the same again.
Cryan is spotting out that drone, and I can tell you as a, I used to work with Cryan in terms of also I've been on 2 teams with Cryan actually. He's probably the player I've worked with the most in my career. He loves putting that drone there himself on the attack, so he always checks for that particular drone spot, so you're never going to get a drone like that against Cryan. In terms of the rush again, Rogue are double ready. They've got the Goyo and the Capcan this time, but I think it's going to be what looks to be like a full clear again. Now, Rogue needs to be careful. They need to not lock, Kanto in particular needs to not lock himself in position. And I think if Rogue stay and fight more for the top floor, they will have much more success. Obviously, Spoit made a decision to go down the main stairs in the last time, and that probably ultimately was what lost them the round.
Blur working himself into kitchen there, maybe just looking to apply a slightly, I was going to say please spot the Nitro Skiddy that was flashing in front of his face before he was able to try and walk his way in through there. Blur is looking to push up the stairs as well. It's an interesting one this, because it completely cuts off the rotate for any of those Rogue players that are going to be looking to get themselves back down to site. Absolute freebie there onto Deepak, manages to take down the Capcan. 4 versus 4 though, as Spike manages to trade that one with one of his own onto Skiddy, leaving us at even Stevens. Nath onto Spoit, and that leaves us now with Blair looking for the man underneath as he just searches through construction, but no, Rogue, they're going to escape and try and get themselves back to site.
I somewhat love in most games to have a Blair on the cam. Look how smart Blair's been in terms of being able to get himself down the main stairs and cut the rotates. Tried to cut the main stairs rotate, tried to cut the hatch rotate, tried to cut the red stairs rotate, didn't manage in the end, just missed his shots. Now, both of those Romas should have been punished by Na'Vi, so if Rogue win this round, we can point towards that. However, I think Blair's played particularly smart in terms of the way that he cut the rotates and did manage to find that opening kill.
Yak is now holding down that main stairs rotate whilst the hatches start to be opened. It's going to be the Moto hatch that goes first under. He was unlucky not to find a man playing directly underneath there. Leon manages to find Blur with a Nitro, levelling things out at 3 versus 3. And Rogue might be feeling like they're sitting pretty here. 40 seconds left to go. All 3 of them back on site. They can start holding their angles. Yak has got himself down to the bottom of main stairs, and this could be a killer angle. I always think of Parlu when I see this angle. It's one that he has played so often. Open up the bottom corner on the Hibana, lay prone and just cut off any rotates from Church out towards Moto, and it works fantastically well. Kanto, he's just holding his position in behind the boxes for the time being. 20 seconds left to go, and Na'Vi, now is go time. They need to push forward, they need to get themselves established inside of sight. Leon, he's going to get stunned out, but he's not being tricked, he's not being fooled. He's ready for the push coming in through the breach. The diffuser gets dropped. Kanto down, feeding information though about where that death has come from as Nath goes in and grabs the diffuser. Leon tries to make the challenge, can't find his man, but eventually the cover is there from Crying, and that's going to be the final kill. The clock ticking down and finishing things off as Rogue managed to level us up 3-3.
I've got to say, Na'Vi played somewhat well in terms of the way they took the top floor as a full unit with Blair cutting the rotates. I was a big fan of it. However, not punishing Spoit and Crying really came to cost them when Crying got that end kill there onto Nave. And I think ultimately allowing Rogue to just regroup and retake that position down on the bottom floor is what cost them. Plus, losing Blair, the vertical player, meant that they were forced into going for that church-sided push because they could not do all of the necessary vertical onto the armory side. So I think for Na'Vi, a couple of options. Maybe they could have brought a sledge as well as a book. But for Rogue, they regrouped well. They really fought for the top floor, and it paid dividends in the end game.
Here we go then. Round number 7. We swap sides. We're going to have Rogue on the attack now. Na'Vi able to secure 3 attacking rounds, but Rogue coming back with a good bit of momentum in the last couple, winning 5 and 6 and just giving themselves a little bit of spring in the step. And I've got a feeling, Fresh, I've got a feeling that this is where Rogue are going to get particularly dangerous. You know, they can play a little bit freer on the attack. They can bring the aggression. They can up the pace. They can get themselves inside the map quick, send Spoit chasing down those roamers. And I think Rogue, we might just see a slightly different beast.
I think if Rogue get to 3-3 on their defenses, they did this against Heroic. They looked pretty poor on their defense. They managed to get 2 clutches to get a 3-3 defense split, and then they ran away with things on the attack. They've gone through the hard times now, and now is where they will, even though it's not been great for them in the first half, they will back themselves to win 4 of the 6 rounds. We're going to see Nave try and get aggressive again. I wonder again, a little bit of counter-analysis. However, the door's been double punched there, and they also seem, in terms of Rogue's point of view, seem aware of Nave. They're going to try and catch him on the rotate back out, but he will, in the end, be too quick.
Smart play from Nath there, using the impact nade just to create the rotate on the fly, and he's going to head straight back up to site. But it was nice from Spoit. As I said, I expected from Rogue, was moving in quickly, drones ahead of them, information there, able to go in and make those challenges, and it was no surprise to see them able to move Nath on as quickly as they did. Spoit's underneath, and he's going to be looking to deal with any utility. He can't use a nade on those bandit batteries because the floor is not destructible there, so instead it will be the Thatcher EMP that comes in. That's going to be successful. There's going to be no attempt to try and trick this exothermic charge. That will go off. Jacuzzi wall is open, so good progress from Rogue so far.
No attempt to trick, because if you look at Yak's location, he's waiting to go and trick the construction wall, which, as we say so many times, is so crucial for Rogue's attack. You would imagine this is Leon's next port of call, is to come to this wall. Now they need to work out a way to deal with Yak. It could be a nade, it could be somebody jumping in, it could be an absolute plethora of things. But they need to deal with that if they want that wall open. They cannot rely on Thatcher alone.
And this is how they intend to deal with Thunder. They're going to get vertical nades up into logistics, but it will not do the job. Yak's still in place, battery in hand, ready to go. But we're going to have the exothermic charge applied instead to the bathroom wall, and it's going to be tricked out by Nath. So that is going to be both of Thermite's charges used. Deepek does have 2 hard breach gadgets remaining. He's going to put the fuse charge on there. That's going to move Nath away, no doubt. Keep a barricade over the top to prevent a nade. What a beauty from Blur as he manages to peek above the Kiba barricade to take down Leon. Yak onto Spoit, 5 versus 3.
I do really think they linchpin so hard on opening that con wall, and we've seen when Rogue can't open it, just what happens. Uncharacteristically, they're not going together. They're not refragging. They've not exploded into sight, and it's all somewhat fallen apart. Deepek, he's going to walk up short and try and find something with that LMG swinging inside the gym. Won't find anything. In the end, will find one, but Blair and Yak comfortably in that 4v2, managing to trade it back out for Na'Vi and take another round.
Able there just to create the pinch, one on either side, and it got the job done. Na'Vi, as you say, managing to get themselves back ahead. A good first defence as well. Gym and bedroom, not always the easiest, but it gives them Church and Arsenal to follow up on. And if they get this basement locked down, they find themselves 5-3, and things are going pretty well at that point. So Na'Vi, they're going to be heading down there. Nothing too wild on the lineup. Yak on the Oryx is one to watch out for. Yet more Fuse being brought along. Obviously, I understand the purposes of Fuse. You're talking, about utility clearance. You're talking about moving the defenders and pushing them out of their favoured spots, putting them into dangerous positions. But we don't usually see this much Fuse.
Well, he's got an LMG. The same LMG as Finka.
He's got the LMG boost.
Obviously, Finka's banned out, but what I will say is both of these teams, well, more so Rogue, but also we saw Yak using Fuse a lot in terms of Na'Vi, is when you need some kind of hard breach, you've not got an ace to rely on. You'll always be running, most of the time, a Thermite. So in terms of using Fuse with the hard breach charge, it makes total sense because Fuse is good on most sites on Clubhouse in terms of breaching the walls, in terms of breaching the hatches, the soft floors to enable a kitchen dirt. So I'm not surprised we see so much as Deepek does rotate off. The reason Deepek moved off is because Leon's gone onto the book. He did initially have a look at the Monty. Now Leon loves the Monty going down dirt tunnel with someone behind. He seems very effective a lot of the time with the Monty. However, I think Rogue have got an appreciation. Na'Vi have built counter strats in mind. And therefore, having to change it up a little bit.
Second round in a row that Spike's gone in through the strip door. Something you need to be careful sometimes, particularly as an entry player, is building those tendencies, because of course they can then be predicted. At this point, Na'Vi will not be challenging onto it, but when the challenge comes through bathroom, they are going to be aware that once again it was through strip. Nath was out there last time, so it is something that maybe Na'Vi could look to play and lean in towards in future rounds if they suspect that the entry is going to come through there again. For the time being, Nath, he's up on the top floor on the mute. He's going to have his jammers down just to prevent the drones getting in there, so it's going to be a face check situation for Rogue going in there on the entry, looking to chase him down, and of course that always brings dangers with it, Fresh.
Yeah, it does. It brings opportunity, more so for Nath as well, especially if they don't know. You can see the drone does spot him out. He does have a rotate, but he's going to have to fight his way out of this, is Nath, and he won't manage to fight his way out of it. Was looking to drop the hatch, and who's on that hatch? Deepak. Rogue again. They start playing as a team. They start doing things together. They get kills for free. Low risk, high reward, as we start seeing Leon work in the verticals.
That's it. They've got the map control that they need now. The remaining 4 members of Na'Vi all down on site, and Rogue obviously pretty confident with that as they just look to open up every surface that they can in front of them right now. That angle that they've just opened up there from Leon, it's one that you can take away into your rank games potentially, because what that does is it prevents anybody playing underneath the kitchen hatch, at least from that side of the bomb chassis. If anybody's in there trying to get a nitro, trying to get an impact trick, open that angle up and you can have a lot of joy down onto them. Spike, he nearly finds some joy onto Yak. Going to take a little bit of damage with the nade that gets thrown in. 54 seconds. Rogue looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, time is the big problem, especially if they don't take control of dirt. If they don't take control of dirt, they're looking at potentially walking themselves down main stairs, going for church rather than going for the Arsenal side. We're seeing the Azami key bar is causing a lot of problems as the nade does come in on Yak. Will only do about 50 damage, and we're seeing Deepak open up onto church. So I'm thinking this is going to be a collapse for Rogue. 30 seconds and it's only 5v4. It's not looking amazing in terms of time here.
Yak just eating up those explosives like spicy meatballs at the minute. None of them can take him down, and he continues fighting in the round. Spike, he's looking to get aggressive down blue. Skiddy manages to find Kanto, and that's a beautiful headshot onto Spike as well. Thunder, he takes Deepak in amongst the midst of it all as the terror reigns in from Na'Vi right now. Leon, he goes down as well. Skiddy finishes things off from blue. It's a triple on the round for him, and that's going to be Na'Vi going 5-3.
And I think once again, Na'Vi had a great appreciation that Rogue would probably bring the Monty. Rogue decided against it, did a default take. What are Na'Vi good at? Defaults. Fully aware, particularly that round was won and lost, was the Skiddy in blue, fully aware that he was going to get pushed from oil pit, fully aware that the next one would be walking down Adam's stairs at him and getting both kills. That's the impact Skiddy is bringing to this Na'Vi roster. That's why we've been raving about him, because that was an absolutely massive solo play from him, but a good awareness that that was coming.
We get into a tactical timeout. Rogue decide that enough is enough. They're going to have to slow things down. They haven't won an attacking round yet. Round 7 and 8 both go in the direction of Na'Vi, and the game as a whole starting to slide ever so slowly towards that team, looking for the full 3 points here to give themselves the best possible finish that they can inside of EUL Stage 2. Na'Vi looking pretty confident on the defence, carrying well from the attack, just keeping that momentum up and winning a lot of gunfights, I think, is the key here. I've seen Spike lose a couple of head-to-heads now directly, and that is going well for Na'Vi. If we look down their scoreboard, you got Yak, you got Blur, both on 7, you got Skiddy out there on 10 and 4. They're going well at this point.
And they've got the players to do so, and it's good to see. And this is why I remain optimistic, I would say, about Na'Vi and their chances, because obviously they got whacked last week. They got whacked when they played Pones on Cafe. They've been whacked a couple of times. But I think generally the trend line for Na'Vi is one that's upwards. And I think generally you're talking about Na'Vi, you know, maybe even not stage 3, maybe stage 1 next year, talking about them as really a team that can challenge. Maybe, you know, they might look to maybe make one more roster change. We'll have to see on that front. But they're a team generally heading in the right direction. And this game's another example of that. Conversely, let's look at the scoreboard from Rogue. When have we ever seen a Rogue scoreboard in round 9 where every single player is negative? I don't think we've ever seen that from Rogue.
I'll be honest, it's not very often, Fresh. I I'm struggling to name a specific time. Like you say, it's not like them. They're not going to be worried about it too much. As we say, this is more about practice. This is more about trying a few new things and seeing what works, what sticks and what doesn't. But right now, Na'Vi getting aggressive. Skiddy, there's one right there. Pull the trigger. He does it, but just a second too late. And Rogue, they managed to escape without any damage there. On a different day, that would have been a different outcome. We're going to see the fuse charge coming in, but Yak's ready for it, just absolutely blasting to avoid that charge doing any damage. And look at that from Yak. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Getting the bandit trick off, being fully aware of it. Obviously, Yak did that himself when he was playing on the fuse. The bandit trick coming out, and Nath makes a massive play, gets himself a double kill the other side of the map onto Deepek and Leon. I think he actually ran out of potentially garage, right? I'm not sure exactly where he went out, but he got the fuse and the thermite, and did in the end get traded out, which means for Rogue, it's absolutely falling apart because that was just step one of the attack. Rogue are going to have to completely skip step one, which is opening CC wall, and look to step two, looking to go into con, looking to try and breach that side of things, but they've got no breaching. They're just going to have to figure a way to get gunfight. Spoit does find one, 3v3, but they're going to have to hustle through a doorway, and that's the big problem for Rogue right now, is when you do that, you walk into crossfires.
Spoit's reactions and ability to win difficult gunfights like that are absolutely unreal sometimes. He just sees a flash of a man above the rotation or the line of sight that's been opened up in that soft wall, and he just does not miss those. Crying is going to take a lot of damage, and as I say, that Spoit manages to find himself another one onto Blur, who was holding down the catwalk. Spoit onto Thunder. They just keep coming for him. He is at times unstoppable, but I think the diffuser is outside of the wall, and that could be a problem for Rogue here, Fresh, because with 50 seconds left to go, they need to find this final kill. Skiddy, he's not necessarily aware of that. He's going to get one, but he's going to be shut down by Spoit on a 4K. What can you do about it? If Skiddy had only known that the diffuser was down outside, he could have played to keep himself alive.
Spoit is the highest rated player in EUL coming into this game. That is why. That is why Rogue went to every single length they could to get this guy on their roster. Like, I'm talking every single length to the point where they're saying, we're going to build a team around you. We're going to make this system fit for you because we think you are that special of a player. That round right there. Absolutely.
That was it. They didn't have the breach. They didn't have anything.
3v5 with no breaches.
They didn't have anything except Spoit on construction door.
Yeah.
That's all they had.
Oh.
And I could replace that name. I'm not going to say with any others, but I could replace that name with a lot of others, and you wouldn't come away with that round.
Yeah. Simply.
If you had Shaco on construction door, maybe you win that round.
And that is what
Citizen, maybe you win that round. But he's up there with that category of player.
Those two players. Yeah.
He's up there with that category of player.
Yeah, absolutely. With his first stage in EUL,
yeah,
by the way.
That's the ridiculous thing.
And I think, you know, that's what Rogue feel like they're building something special. Now, I've said this multiple times. I don't think the map suits Rogue whatsoever stylistically with how they want to play. And I think that's why we're seeing them struggle on it stylistically. However, when everything's down and your round is lost strategically, that sprinkling of just that X factor of Spoit go, it's almost Spoit go kill, but it's not that they're relying on it. That's not their system, they don't rely on it. But when they need him to do that, he does do that. And it's absolutely magical from him. I cannot, for one, wait to see him, you know, go up with some of the bigger names internationally. We've seen him do it in EUL now, and he's conquered that individually in terms of talent. I want to see him do it internationally now.
When does Spoit play? That's going to be the question when we're coming into the major. Spoit, he's going to look to, I keep saying that name, he's going to look to get himself inside a construction here potentially. It is going to be the nades that will go in first. They're attacking onto gym and bedroom, and this is smart. Leon's managed to get that construction wall open quickly. Spoit's going to play on the windows for the time being, but as soon as they're confident that Blur and Skiddy have been forced back, it will then be an opportunity for him to get more aggressive. Leon, he manages to get Nath, but there's an immediate trade there from Blur, leaving us now at a 4v4. Blur's going absolutely nowhere here. I love this aggression from him. He's not being cowed by the fact that construction wall has been opened. He knows that Spoit is playing in behind the AC unit. He's not going to be able to find him, but at least he knows where the battle is to be taken.
Rogue focused on that breach again, and once again they get that breach, and Leon's got a little bit aggressive, gone for a bit of a 1-for-1, does manage to get it, but now you've got 4v4. So for Rogue, it's all about getting the breach on the Jacuzzi side, and can you 3-2-1 go? We often see Rogue spend probably another minute from here on out, getting themselves into position, and then going on a 3-2-1 call altogether, particularly one round against Wolves that I remember. They did that, and it was in a 5v5 with 20 seconds to go. Skiddy, he's going to have a little look, use that robotic arm, punch the wall, and potentially look for a kill onto Spite. I would not back against Spite flicking this, by the way.
I think Drone's just seen him, so Skiddy needs to be careful, but Spite's attention does not seem to have turned in that direction. He did punch the hole, and that will attract Spite's eye, but the kill was not forthcoming. 4 versus 4, 1 minute 7 left to go. You see him, Spite, do you know? He's just in behind the keeper barricade, and that's just going to keep him out of dodge for the time being. Spite getting aggressive now, going into sight. He's going to get another, and there's your 3-2-1 go, but it looks like Na'Vi might be able to stand up to it as Yak manages to get the kill inside of sight. Skiddy onto Crying, and now it's all up to Deepak, but we've seen him in these situations before. Not this time though, as Yak, he manages to clean him out by dipping out from the shower, and that is going to be round to Na'Vi, 6-4.
Yeah, and I think once again we're seeing very similar things from Rogue, where the 3-2-1 does happen, but it's still just a little bit disjointed. And when you're playing a style that's so frag heavy, so frag oriented, rather than sweeping across, when you play this kind of collapse style, going in from all angles, it has to be together. It can't be disjointed, otherwise defenders can, you know, in specific micro situations, front it up. And that's what Na'Vi did particularly well there. I think their use of the keeper barriers was particularly good to enable Blair to play inside of construction, nice and safe, and in the end, that came to fruition. Another good round from Na'Vi. Match point, they get to go back down to Church Arsenal, and they did win it last time, so they're going to be feeling pretty confident.
Absolutely, they will. It was, you know, it was a good round from them. They were able to make life difficult for Rogue last time around, and I think, like you say, they're going to be feeling like there's 3 points in the offing for them here, and a real opportunity to get it done. Last time we saw Nath playing upstairs. If he does that again, I think they're going to want a little bit more out of him. We saw Rogue able to cut him down quite easily. It was Deepak from underneath the hatch that managed to find him up in Jimmer. Great use of those reverse vertical angles for Rogue, but they weren't able to get too much more going after that point. Yak particularly causing a nuisance. He was on the Oryx that time around, just dancing around those nades. He would not be put down. This time we see him on the Kaid. Now, an interesting position. If he plays the same as he did last time, the Oryx doesn't really bring much to the table in terms of the position he was playing, whereas the Kaid brings a Nitro that can go over that wall to the bottom of main stairs.
And I think we're seeing, obviously, in terms of the attacker repick, we've seen Leon gone on to the Monty as well. So this is a little bit more expected as to how Rogue want to deal with it. They want to force the Monty through Dirt Tunnel in terms of just straight into Armory. Crime's going to lurk his way into the middle floor, basically avoiding the top floor. He's going to actually maybe go and push Skiddy onto the Jaeger here and push down Adam Stairs with some noise being made for him. And I like this for Rogue. This is a little bit more, I would say, traditional by the way they want to play. We're seeing Leon take a lot of damage from the smoke in Dirt Tunnel, and I think this is already good from Honda. He has to expend these basically smoke canisters. He has to get rid of them and hold Leon off for now, whilst the rest of the troops kind of get back to cover off.
That's big from Leon, able to take down 2 smoke canisters there, only taking damage from 1 and will not take damage from any more of them. Keeper barricade may well just inhibit his progress through the door here. I think he should be able to maneuver through, but what it does is just prevent him maybe pointing that shield in the direction that he wants to. Deepak is going to be in kitchen, opening up the hatch to allow that vertical angle, which will assist Leon down in Dirt Tunnel, but for the time being the hatch will remain closed. Those Hibana pellets just taking out the electrical that was protecting the hatch, and now they need to come back and get more, but it's going to be Yak to kick things off with a Nitro onto Kanto.
Yeah, that's really not ideal from Kanto. He needs to, rule 101 of sledging and playing vertical on this site is make the vertical, then peek it. Kanto's made very limited vertical here, and therefore will die to the C4, which means his team can't play it either. So Na'Vi, they're going to feel safe, and there was one feeling safe on the main stairs, takes a shotgun to Crying's face. It's all come falling apart here for Rogue.
Spite very nearly finds the head of Blur, but he just manages to escape with his life there, dipping away with the Azami in the nick of time. Leon very low health now, trying to make his way in from Dirt Tunnel still, just pinging out the position of Thunder, and it was all the information that Deepak needed, all the opportunity to try and get Rogue back into this. Leaves us now 3v4. Spite is going to be backing up Leon, who tries to push deeper inside of sight. Spite once again with an absolute beauty. He gets so many kills that he just shouldn't. Leon somehow manages to bully Skiddy inside of blue, and Rogue have brought this back from the brink. They're going to be putting the diffuser down. It's Deepek inside of sight. Yak, it's not going to be enough to prevent that diffuser going down. With 24 seconds left to go, he would have had to find the kills as well, and that's the position that he finds himself in now, but he's working against the clock, and Leon is no doubt going to spot him out inside of the church corridor there. The bullets start raining in, ringing around his ears, and you just know that Motodor is going to be covered as well. It's going to be Leon. He's coming. He's on the big shieldy boy. He's going to be an ever-present threat to Yak now. The shots come in. Leon gets his second of the round. And you got to say, Na'Vi threw that one away a little bit.
I think so. And, you know, when I look and I see a team and I think, what's the scoreline? It's 6-5, right? But I think who's controlled every single round in the second half in terms of Na'Vi against Rogue. In terms of the second half, there's been 5 rounds. Na'Vi have won 3, Rogue have won 2. Na'Vi should have won 5. It basically comes down to that, but for an amazing spike play in round 9 and then round 11 just then, using the Monty well, playing behind the Monty and forcing your way into sight, Rogue just won that round again that they had no right winning. Now, this is a massive round. Not for Rogue. Rogue have not put in a great performance here. They're going to go away regardless of the result, saying, we didn't play well. We just got through the game. We're going to Berlin. We're probably not going to play this map in Berlin, so let's not think too much about it. For Na'Vi, they're in a relegation dogfight. They've secured 1 point. They might go on to secure 2 points if it goes to overtime, but 3 points is absolutely massive. With Team Secret yet to play, it would put them 6 points in front in that relegation context.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. And it's, you know, exactly results like this that you could be looking back on at that point at the end of the year saying, that's where we saved ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, that last matchup against Rogue where we could take them to a map they were a little bit weaker on, that was our opportunity, and that's where we did it. And so Na'Vi, they're going to be heading back down to Church and Arsenal once again. It's no surprise they got themselves to a 5 versus 3. They really shouldn't have been losing that last round. It was only, you know, great individual performances on the side of Rogue, really, that rescued it. So Na'Vi feeling like there's certainly more for them to gain. Kanto's drone just going to escape away from Blur there, just keeping itself alive. We know how important that information utility is. Blur continues on with his hatches. Nothing too wild in terms of the setup. We do have the Goyo this time from Yak.
Yeah, I think the Goyo was an appreciation that they really struggled to deal with the Monty, particularly Thunder. He was trying to... So we saw Leon take away 2 of the smoke canisters with his gun. That was Thunder trying to pace and kind of feather his smokes, right? He used to burn that extra 5 to 10 seconds because it's so crucial inside of pro play. 5 to 10 seconds might not feel like much, but it is. And the Goyo was just an appreciation that you just lay the Goyos down Dirt Tunnel. I would be surprised if there isn't at least 2 in Dirt Tunnel. And it's a direct appreciation of how good Leon is and how good Rogue are at playing the Monty down Dirt Tunnel.
Skiddy just taking the drone out there. He's not really had much joy at the top of Blue Stairs over the last couple of rounds. Rogue are well aware that he's playing there. They're approaching it with real caution. Drones are going in. They're pre-firing the window. They know that he's going to be in that position. And within 30 seconds, he's been chased away both times. That's going to be the case again. Kanto opening the logistics hatch, no doubt. Potentially for somebody else or potentially just as a deterrent to prevent anybody playing in there once the time comes to move into kitchen.
I call that phantom pressure. The reason being is Kanto has a real habit of dying to defenders playing vertically. When Kanto's playing the vertical above kitchen, he tends to die to somebody playing in logistics vertically above him. So you've got to open that hatch. It creates what I call phantom pressure, as we see Deepek will be Kaid tricked by Nath, unfortunately. And that phantom pressure basically keeps defenders out. Spoi's going to use the sound to actually push his way into Moto on a bit of a solo play. Going to have good success if nobody's aware. Does manage to find Yak trying to put down a Goyo canister and get the Kaid claw off. That's really nice. I would just say FPS, understanding awareness from Spite, on the routing that he can take and making a play.
It was a great play from Spite. It's something that Rogue needed, was just an injection of pace, something to get them into the round, and that's exactly what he's provided there. He's going to be playing from main stairs now, looking to clear out the Kiba barricade potentially. No, he's going to send the nade deep into side. Why bother with the Kiba barricade when you can take Thunder instead? He's going to take the man down, leave them now in a 5v3, and then take the Kiba barricade as well. Spite continuing to rain shots in towards sight, and Na'Vi desperately on the back foot here. Giga, but Nath, he puts his foot against the wall, pushes back and starts swinging, manages to get a kill. Skitty as well, 3 versus 2, but it's looking bleak as it's now all down to Nath, shut down by Spoit, and that's going to be Rogue taking us into overtime.
I get my one caster stage in with you, Ace, and guess what's happening? We're going to overtime. I don't think it's you and Des, I think it's just you. I think you cast.
I've done it consistently throughout my career, all the way back to the old UK lands. The first time Des and I mean, Des was included in that one, to be fair. The first time Des and I cast together, we did a full 45 rounds across the best of 3. We had literally every single round possible, and it's just never stopped. That was Epic LAN.
Oh, right.
It was
that the one that was going until like 3 a.m. in the morning? I remember watching you cast at like 3 a.m. in the morning.
It was a late night, was that one. It was a late night.
Epic LAN, it's back. It's finally back after COVID. I know I'm giving a little bit of a shout out to the UK side now, but Epic LAN is back at some point during the summer. I don't know the precise dates, but yeah, in terms of this game, let's talk about this game actually. Great players make their own luck. If you think about great players in terms of Siege, the true greats of the whole of esports in terms of Siege esports, who would you talk about? Pengu?
He's alright. I mean, he's not bad, is he?
Canadian. But Pengu in particular is the one I want to focus on. Have you ever watched Pengu play and think, bloody hell, he's bloody lucky. Makes his own luck. Spoit did that just then. Walked halfway down long in a 5v4, not got shot, managed to get all the way back to the bottom main stairs and then get a nade kill without being shot. When I try that in ranked, I'm gone. And I think Spoit's just got that kind of unique ability to just make his own luck happen, and that's what happens there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's more to it. I think it is about judgment. It's about game sense. It's about all the little things that you're sort of doing subconsciously, and that's what makes those players great. Is the ability to do that. You and I have to engage our brains a bit too much in those situations, and that's what slows you down. That's what gets you caught out, or you miss those little signals that people like that pick up on. Or as you say, they're just lucky.
Yeah, and we're going to see Crying. He's actually going to put the Claymore on the garage door this time as the fuse charge is going to go off, and Spoit's going to focus it with the nade as well. They're going to try their might to stop this bandit trick from Yak, but he's going to stay stubborn. He will get down to a fuse charge, but he will get the bandit trick off successfully, which means Leon, he doesn't know, but he could go absolutely now in terms of the bandit trick, and I think Na'Vi...
No, he's back for more!
Back. Oh my god! The Exami Kiba barrier is holding Spoit off. The bandit electric claws, it's just not going well for Rogue. Spoit eventually takes it into his own hands and just shoots Na'Vi, shoots Yak off it, and the breach will finally come out. But that was a massive team game of cat and mouse there.
You gotta give it to Yak. He's had a real performance on the bandit.
Yeah.
We've seen him a few times just absolutely taking liberties with those bandit tricks, getting them just where he does not have any right to whatsoever. Kanto is going to push forward, get himself at least access into construction, back onto the drone. It's pre-placed, it's ready to go. It's not going to burn too much time, and he is going to be joined by Spoit as they try to push in from this side. They're not going to have any more hard breach. Deepak does have 2 charges, but was on the east wall. I'm not sure how quickly he's going to get across there. It's going to be Leon that has actually come across, and Deepak's on the rappel, so unlikely that they go and breach the construction side wall. They'll probably just try to work with the door instead.
It looks like they're actually swapping. Leon's going to come and take ownership of the breach, and Deepak's going to go and take ownership. Yeah, it does take time. There's going to be an explosion into sight, you would have to imagine, with about 20 seconds to go.
Going to have Spoit just trying to work that angle. We've seen him do it fantastically well before. Look at the speed of the man. Takes out, first of all, the Toxic Babe canister, and then nearly the head off Blur. It's Deepak who's going to finish that off. Leon onto Nerf. It's all falling apart for Na'Vi. It's like Rogue have flicked the switch here in the last couple of rounds. They've notched it up a gear, and they are really finding their kills now. Skiddy onto Kanto. Can he take a second on red stairs? No, he cannot. Leon shuts him down, and that's going to be round Rogue with an advantage going their way.
And Rogue, they just had an appreciation of how much that first breach means to them. How much that Rogue, as soon as they got that first counter Yak and got that breach, won the round. Because they made things easier for themselves. Because the person playing that breach creates so much pressure for Na'Vi. Then they went round to go and basically take control of construction, breach that. But before that happened, Na'Vi felt so much pressure that they had to peek out into the waiting crosshairs of the Rogue players, particularly Deepak finding a couple there, and that was the round. And I said it was a team game of cat and mouse onto that breach. Rogue came out on top, and they came out as the round victors. I thought the side choice was particularly curious from Na'Vi there, because they played their CCTV once and they should have won it, but for Spoit's Mega Round. They played Gym twice and won it both times. So I was so surprised they didn't go to Gym.
This time, it's going to be Rogue on the defense. We switch every round now that we are in overtime. Not like the earlier rounds whereby we do a block of 6 and then 6. So Rogue are going to head down to the bottom floor. It's going to be Church and Arsenal. We saw them play it 3 times. They won it twice, so a 66% win rate, or 66.6 recurring percent.
I was wondering how many 6s you were going to go for.
I don't want the statisticians out there coming after me on the timeline, Fresh, correcting my 66% comment. Rogue, they are going to be going down there. They've got
just going to go
basically, they've won more than they've lost. Yeah. They've won more than they've lost. I'll take that one. They've won more than they've lost down in Church and Arsenal, and you can't prove otherwise. They're going to be looking to lock this one out here, go for a 2 points, and more importantly, go for a win. Now, interestingly, we're going to have Nath going straight in. He's playing a Spoit straight in through strip.
And I think this round basically is determined whether Rogue stay and fight or whether they lock themselves in that position. The one round they did lost, wow, good English. The one round that they did lose was Kanto locking himself in terms of logistics because Spoit left him. I think Spoit's heated up, he's feeling it a little bit more, and he actually wants to take more fights. I don't think he's leaving to get back to site anytime soon if he can help it.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. I think, that's probably true of Rogue on the whole. Like I say, they just seem to have taken it up a gear. Spoit, you can just see it in his mind. He's thinking about getting aggressive there. He wants to get onto that breach and see if he can just catch them out. The drone doesn't go far enough, I don't think, to see him just around the corner there. That could be a problem. We're going to have CCTV opened by Thunder. Cryan's inside of there again. He's going to play hard up against that wall there, and they're giving absolutely nothing away here. Spoit manages to get one. He's been drawn out. He doesn't care. He's sticking around for more. He wants some action on the breach as well.
I don't even think he shot the drone. He's just happy letting it exist. Wow, if I'm being droned, that means attackers are going to come to me.
That's
and
what
then
it
I
is.
can shoot them. The drone could just stay. And in the end, Skiddy looks so reluctant and so passive to actually go and challenge Spoit through this breach. And Blair's coming from the top floor, will in the end drop down the hatch. And actually, Kanto was trying to kill him, but Skiddy does in the end get Kanto. So even Stevens, but 1 minute 40 has been wasted.
Certainly has. We're going to have the challenge coming through from Spoit, who has now relocated himself into strip. He's actually got one on either side of him here. I think there's just one on the strip door behind him, so he needs to be cautious. There is indeed. It's Yaku's dropped down. This is where Navi need to be a bit more aggressive for me. They've got Spoit in strip. They've got one in bar. They've got one outside strip door. Get in there and challenge him.
Yep.
Challenge him at the same time. 3, 2, 1. In and push him. Guarantee yourself the kill.
And he's been cloned here by Ayana. And this is the problem, is every second Spoit wastes, and he's going to waste another 10, 20, you would imagine, really is detrimental to Navi because it means they can't go about their business. The peak is going to come in, and Spoit is peeking about 4 different ways.
No!
Find the fadeaway shot, does get traded out by Yak, but look at the
damage
time.
is done.
35 seconds to work with. Spoit has done his part and more for his team.
Damage is done. As you say, a lovely fadeaway to take another one with him, and that's going to leave us now. Blur, hot drop in the hatch, just gets it open. There's no choice. 25 seconds, goes in through the Goyo canister, almost loses his life. Deepak with a nitro onto Thunder. It's 3v2, it's 3v1, it's barely anything. It's Deepak finding the final kill. Rogue, they just knock it up a gear at the end, and they take themselves a victory. It's 2 points, and it's 8-6.
And it's that star man once again. He's playing on the Oryx, he's playing on everything, and he's making things happen for his team. He got 2 kills, Spoit, and of course I'm talking about Spoit there. He's the MVP of this game, he's the MVP of the stage, and he was the MVP of them last few rounds to get his team over the line in overtime. It's a pleasure to sit and watch somebody play like that.
It really is.
He might be a ranked star, he might be a content creator, but I'm guessing over how much he makes happen for his team.
I think he's probably surpassed the ranked star title now. Absolutely cemented his position here in the EUL, and just like everybody at home, I know I, Fresh, and everybody here are looking forward to watching Rogue and Spoit in the LAN environment at the Berlin Major. That's going to do it for Rogue versus Na'Vi. It was an overtime win for Rogue as they managed to get themselves over the line for the expected victory. Our analysts are going to break it down just after this break, so don't go anywhere.